Mr. Ruffalo and Mr. Faber, what more can we do in Congress to shine the light of decades of cover-up and misinformation? And that's my worry, is this constant misinformation, but also how do we combat this whole like, so what attitude? Because I want you to know, Mr. Favors, this is our 4th hearing. We've had investigative hearings. I actually look at my colleagues come one of the new ones here. After the investigative hearings, we'll follow up on letters. We'll do the things that we need to do based on what we heard in those investigative hearings. But then we have these kind of political tactics that are happening. And again, corporate interest, corporate greed is tainting our democracy in a way that it drives away some of my colleagues to having the political courage to do something. But
maybe
going to all of you. Yeah, thank you. So to you all, how do you combat that? How do we combat that as Congress, of this so what attitude and this misinformation out there?
If I knew that, the world would be a different place. I just want to comment, Mr. Comer, I know you care about this because you said you did. And I guess it's really like an opening of our hearts to our brothers and sisters in the world, you know. When we decided to make this country, we gave up our freedoms and we gave up our tax dollars in order for, and by giving those things up, we made an agreement with this country that they would take care of us people. And I think part of the disease that we're seeing in the world, in America today, is a feeling that somehow that covenant that we made has been broken, and that we've become slavish to corporate interests and economic interests, and we've lost our connection to our fellow men and women and children. And I know you guys have families. Like, I know that we all relate to each other on these levels, and I believe you when you say that you care about this. But how can we sit here and listen to these stories from Bucky Bailey or from Mark Favors and not be moved to take action? And, you know, you can do this by basically stopping the things that we come into contact with, our drinking water, cosmetics, those things that we use every day, food wrappers, our clothing, even firefighters. We shouldn't be telling firefighters the only, listen guys, you're gonna have to get cancer as just part of your job. There should be no job in America that is a disclaimer. And it's just really like, it's just dropping our slavishness to this economic system. I mean, it's so out of balance. And there's so many sick people. We have the science. We did the studies. We know. You know, we can't sit here and pretend like this didn't happen, or that this new EPA blue ribbon panel, which they already did one in 2001, like, we don't need to know any more about this to make the changes that we know in our hearts we have to make. If you know that you're poisoning your kid, you're not gonna give him that anymore. I don't care what side of the aisle you stand on. And so I would say that we need a kind of a realigning with what it is to be a human being, and think more about each other and less about ourselves, or less about corporate interest in this country. And then when we do that, a lot of this stuff will take care of itself.
I couldn't agree more. And you took up most of my time, but that's
okay.
I'm so it was
sorry.
completely worth it. But I would just leave with all of you, my 14-year-old son. He says, Mom, what about peopleism? Do peopleism. Put people before profits. So I'll leave you with all of that, but no, it was completely worth it, Mr. Ruffalo. I think what you said was exactly what we need to do in Congress. Thank you very much.